Welcome back. We've got some fun fights coming up this weekend for UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Albazi. The model performed very well last week, turning 6 units of profit on UFC 308. Nearly all of the book favorites won, but the outlook is very different this week. We pulled the fight data and handed it over to the machine learning algorithm, so let's have a look at who it thinks will win on Saturday night. We'll be starting off the night with Jack Shore fighting Youssef Zalal at 145 pounds. Jack has an impressive 17-2 record, with his most recent loss coming due to a doctor's stoppage. His record would lead you to believe that he is a finishing machine, but 3 of his 4 decision wins have come in his 6 UFC bouts. His other 3 promotional wins have all been rear naked chokes. Youssef's UFC record looks very similar, with 3 wins by decision in his first run and 2 consecutive rear naked chokes since returning in March of this year. At the books, Zalal is a minus 235 favorite, but something about this matchup has the model thinking that Jack will come away with the win. The grappling stats here seem to mostly favor Jack, but it is very possible that we see nearly all kickboxing in this match. Next up, our first female fight is between Jamey-Lyn Horth and Ivana Petrovic. Both of these women are just 2 fights into their UFC careers, going 1-1 in that time. Horth dropped her last fight and has been away for nearly a year since then. Ivana lost her UFC debut and returned to the win column in April. They both finish a high percentage of their fights, but only Petrovic has finished an opponent inside the octagon. At the books, Jamey-Lyn is a moderate minus 200 favorite, but the model has her slightly lower at minus 140. I don't hate betting Horth here, but I believe that she'll need to keep it standing for her best chance of victory. Moving on to the first of our 4 bantamweight fights, we'll see Chad Anheliger versus Cody Gibson. Chad is currently 2-2 in the UFC, while Cody has an abysmal record of 2-5. They are both on the older side at 37, but Cody is still nearly a year younger. He is also 4 inches taller and has a 7-inch reach advantage. Despite being on his second bad run in the UFC, Cody is a minus 180 favorite at the books. The model believes that the odds should be incredibly close in this fight, but still gives Gibson the edge at minus 103. It seems to me that Cody will have an advantage if he is able to get the fight to the ground and look for another arm triangle. Our next fight is also at 135 pounds. This time we will see Serhiy Sidey fighting Garrett Armfield. Sidey is looking to recover from a split decision loss in his UFC debut. This loss was to Ramon Tavares, who just so happens to be who he beat on the Contender Series to earn a contract. Armfield is also looking to bounce back from a loss, the second time he has been subbed in his last 4 bouts. The book and model odds are very close for this fight, Sidey being the favorite for both. I'm expecting a fun fight here. Both guys have high striking rates and generally avoid grappling exchanges. Moving on to the big boys up at heavyweight, where Alexandr Romanov takes on Rodrigo Nascimento. Rarely do we see 2 grapplers face off at heavyweight, but that may be what we see here. Romanov has good takedowns and has finished half of his UFC wins by submission. Rodrigo also has an excellent ground game, but has only managed a single submission in the promotion. Alexandr has been on a bad run lately, losing 3 of his last 4, 2 of those in the first round. In that same period of time, Rodrigo was able to put together 3 decision wins before running into the right hand of Derek Lewis in his last fight. The bookmakers have Rodrigo as a small minus 121 favorite in this fight. The model also has very little confidence, but still favors Nascimento at minus 108. We are hoping that Rodrigo's takedown defense holds up in this fight and he can sneak out another decision win. Back down at bantamweight, Charles Jourdain will be fighting Victor Henry. Charles has been up and down in his UFC career, winning 6 of his 14 bouts. In his last 5 fights, he has gone 2-3. Victor has gone 3-1 with 1 no contest over his 5 UFC fights, despite already being 34 upon entering the promotion. Neither of these two do much in the way of grappling, so we are likely to see a striking battle. Victor lands at a very high rate, landing more than 8 strikes per minute in the UFC. This fight is nearly a pick'em at the books, with Charles giving it the slightest of edges at minus 115. The model sees a much larger gap here, favoring him at minus 163. Victor should have a good chance in this fight, as it seems you only need to make it to a decision to beat Jourdain. Our second women's flyweight fight sees Ariane Lipski da Silva facing off against Jasmine Jasudavicius. Ariane comes into this fight 5 years younger, yet still having nearly twice as many fights. She will be giving up a very small amount in both height and reach, but nothing notable. Jasmine has gone 5-2 since entering the UFC and is currently on a 2-fight win streak. At the books, Jasudavicius is a moderate minus 220 favorite, but the model prefers Ariane in this fight. This one is likely to go to the judges where anything could happen, but I think that Jasmine will have the striking advantage and should win. Despite that, we will do what the model says, so our money is on Ariane. Closing out the prelims will be Aiemann Zahabi versus Pedro Munhoz at bantamweight. Aiemann is currently riding a 4-fight win streak, winning 2 of those by first round KO. His opponents have been high quality, and he seems to have improved since going 1-2 in his first 3 UFC bouts. Pedro Munhoz is a UFC bantamweight staple. He's been in the promotion since 2014 with more than 20 walks to the octagon. Unfortunately, his career has taken a downturn in recent years, with only 2 wins in his last 9 fights. Somehow, despite eating more than 6 strikes per minute, he has never been stopped. Another near pick'em at the books, with Pedro just barely being favored at minus 116. The model thinks that this fight will go the other way, giving an even larger minus 121 edge to Zahabi. I'm not sure why the book odds are so close. I'm very happy with Aiemann at minus 104. Mike Malott and Trevin Giles will be kicking off the main card at 170 pounds. These two have competed before almost 2 years ago when Trevin defeated Mike in Fury Pro Grappling. Mike is coming off his first UFC loss after coming into the promotion with 3 finishes. Win or lose, he has not been to a decision, although he does have a single draw on his record. Trevin moved down from middleweight in 2022 and has since gone 2-3. He was finished in all 3 of those bouts and has not finished a fight in 4 years. Mike is currently the largest favorite on this card at minus 250. The model has this fight close to a pick'em with Mike at minus 105. I cannot imagine why the model has this fight so close. I'm just happy it's leaning towards Malott. Up at middleweight, Marc-Andre Barriault will be fighting Dustin Stoltzfus. Barriault entered the UFC in 2019 on an 8-fight win streak. He has since gone 5-7 with 1 no contest. He has lost his last 2 bouts, the most recent by first round KO. Dustin is 2-5 in the UFC and also lost his last bout by first round KO. The bookmakers have Marc-Andre as a minus 200 favorite, but the model very slightly prefers Stoltzfus. Dustin will probably need to rely heavily on his grappling in order to win this fight. Moving up again to light heavyweight, where Caio Machado will be facing Brenson Ribeiro. Caio is 3-2 in his last 5, losing both of his UFC bouts. Before entering the promotion, he was on a 7-fight win streak with 5 finishes. Brenson has also lost his first 2 fights in the UFC, and with both of them earning contracts from the Contender Series, I'd assume that they are coming to the ends of their contracts. Ribeiro has never won a decision, and the majority of his fights ended in the first round. Machado has finished 6 of his 8 wins in the first round and has never been finished. Machado is a minus 157 favorite at the books, but the model gives Ribeiro a very small minus 110 edge. If these two really are at the end of their contracts, we could see an absolute firefight, but we could also see 2 guys just trying not to lose. Back at heavyweight, we have Derek Lewis against Jonata Diniz. Derek is a knockout or get finished kind of guy with only 5 decisions out of 29 UFC fights. He always seems gassed after 27 seconds, but still has KO power into the 3rd and even the 4th round. Diniz is still undefeated and has only seen 1 decision in his career. In fact, until his UFC debut, he had never even been to the 2nd round. Outside of MMA, he does have 15 kickboxing bouts where he's been to many decisions and also lost by knockout. Jonata is a small minus 160 favorite at the books, and the model is pretty close to that at minus 124. This fight feels like it should be over quick, as long as we don't get Lewis versus Ngannou 2. In the co-main event, Rose Namajunas will be fighting Erin Blanchfield at flyweight. Rose is 7 years older with quite a bit more experience. She has faced all of the best at 115 and has shown that she can compete at 125 as well. Erin has been surging through the division for the last 3 years, hitting her first roadblock in March against Manon Fiorot, who also handed Rose her only loss at flyweight. Both of these women are very well-rounded, but the majority of their fights go to the judges. At the books, Blanchfield is a small -141 favorite, but the model believes that Rose has a significant advantage. The winner of this fight will likely be on a shortlist for a title fight. Closing out this fight night, we have Brandon Moreno and Amir Albazi at flyweight. For many years, Brandon has been at the top of the division, even holding the belt on 2 occasions. He has shared the octagon with the best at 125 without ever being finished in a pro bout. Amir is on his way up and has looked almost unstoppable. He's currently riding a 6-fight win streak with 4 finishes, 3 of those by first-round submission. This will be Albazi's first fight back after sustaining a neck injury that forced him to pull out of a fight at the beginning of this year. At the books, Moreno is a -154 favorite. The model also favors Brandon in this fight, but at -103, it may as well suggest we flip a coin. This division needs a new challenger for the title. Albazi could be that guy if he can get past Moreno this weekend. We've seen all the fights. Now let's have a look at the numbers. This card has 14 fights, most of them fairly close in the odds. The model made predictions on all of them, with 8 favorites and 6 underdogs. Our total risk is pretty small this week, coming in at only 19.39 units. With a perfect night, we stand to profit nearly 90% at 17.13 units. That's all we've got for you this week. Thanks for watching, and good luck on all of your bets this weekend.